Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are plunging into a story that's really quite astonishing. It's about the incredible resurgence of Nvidia.
Yeah, it's a financial comeback that's, well, one for the ages, really.
Achieving a staggering 100% stock increase just since April and, reclaiming its spot as one of the world's most valuable companies.
It is pretty remarkable.
And for many, this was a narrative they thought was just impossible only months ago.
It truly is a stunning turnaround. But this deep dive isn't only about Nvidia's resurrection, though that's definitely a central and fascinating piece of it.
Right.
Our mission today is really to unpack the transformative implications of artificial intelligence itself. We're going to dig into the core reasons behind Nvidia's amazing performance, explore the profound geopolitical side of AI,
Right.
examine its transformative impact across loads of industries, and look at the really unique market position of the companies right at the heart of it all.
And we're drawing our insights today from a really illuminating discussion. Intelligentsia Artificial, Perspectivas Financieras, which featured the very insightful Muki Tenenbaum with special participation from Claudio Suchavicki.
Mm-hmm.
And it's particularly interesting because Tenenbaum, he's consistently, almost like presciently, cautioned that any dip in Nvidia stock wasn't a sign of long-term weakness.
No, he saw it differently.
He saw it as a short-term opportunity, something to watch very, very closely.
Yeah, that foresight from Tenenbaum is, I think, a really crucial thread running through our whole discussion today. Our goal is to dissect these insights to help you, our listener, understand not just what's happening in the AI landscape,
Right.
but why it matters, and maybe most importantly, what might be next for this incredible, fast-moving sector. It's really about getting to the heart of the current AI revolution and what it actually means in the real world.
Okay, so let's kick off by really digging into this comeback story because, honestly, it defied so many expectations.
Exactly. The story of Nvidia's financial surge is genuinely dramatic. Like you said, it went from being worth maybe half its current value back in April to that, eye-popping 100% increase we're seeing now. And this wasn't just like a market correction. It was a profound reevaluation by investors.
Especially considering the mood just a short while ago.
Oh, absolutely. What's fascinating here is that just a few months back, the general consensus, among many market analysts and pundits, was that the AI story was over.
Really?
Over.
Yeah, they believed that the initial burst of AI advancements had sort of plateaued and that this would seriously impact the big tech players, companies seen as the main beneficiaries like TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company.
Right, the chip maker.
Along with Nvidia, Amazon, Microsoft, Google. The feeling was actually quite negative, suggesting maybe a broad downturn for the whole sector, almost like we were heading into another AI winter.
And yet, amidst all that doom and gloom, Muki Tenenbaum he was steadfast, wasn't he?
He consistently warned that any downturn for Nvidia was just a short-term blip. He didn't see it as fundamental weakness at all.
No, he framed it as a buying opportunity, or at least, something to keep firmly on your radar. His view was really rooted in understanding that the core value, the necessity of Nvidia's technology would just inevitably reassert itself.
He seemed to grasp something others were missing.
And this brings us to a really fundamental truth about AI, one that Tenenbaum emphasizes directly, unequivocally. He says, without Nvidia, there is no artificial intelligence.
That's a strong statement.
It is, but it's not hyperbole, not just a marketing slogan. There's specialized chips, especially their GPUs, their graphics processing units. They aren't just components. They were the absolute indispensable foundation.
The engine room.
Exactly. The foundation on which all modern AI models and applications are built. See, unlike traditional CPUs, GPUs are designed to do many, many calculations simultaneously. Parallel processing.
Which is what AI needs.
Precisely what deep learning, neural networks, large language models need for their massive parallel processing. Without that computational power, the complex calculations just couldn't happen at the scale or the speed required today.
So the absolute engine room then. But even an indispensable engine had to navigate some serious geopolitical headwinds, right? Particularly concerning China.
Oh, definitely.
The U.S. restrictions on exporting advanced chips to China must have created a significant challenge for Nvidia, threatening to cut off a huge market.
Indeed. The U.S. authorities imposed strict bans, stopping Nvidia from selling their highest-end chips, like the A100 and H100, to the Chinese market. And those chips are crucial for advanced AI training.
Right.
What's even more telling, though, is that Nvidia tried to adapt. They attempted to create lower quality, less powerful chips, the A800 and H800, I think they were called, specifically for China.
Trying to get around the restrictions.
Exactly, hoping to circumvent the bans and still keep some market presence. But those attempts were also quickly blocked by U.S. authorities. They basically slammed the door shut on that major market entirely.
Wow. That sounds like it should have been a devastating blow for any company, let alone one so reliant on global sales.
You'd think so.
You'd expect a company to really struggle after losing access to such a huge market, especially one with China's growth potential. In fact, Nvidia even announced they were taking China off their balance sheet entirely.
Which everyone expected would cause a massive stock drop.
Yeah, analysts were bracing for a severe impact. The market was definitely expecting bad news.
And what's truly fascinating here is the surprising outcome. Completely counter to all expectations and defying what should have been a crippling blow.
Yeah.
Nvidia's financial results just kept improving. Remarkably, this wasn't just a slight recovery. They continued posting strong earnings quarter after quarter, unprecedented resilience. They just defied all the pessimism around their China exposure.
So what was the strategic pivot? How did Jensen Huang, Nvidia's CEO, pull that off? It's incredible.
Well, Huang clearly recognized China was becoming a closed market for their top chips. So instead of dwelling on it, he made a really decisive, bold move.
Which was?
He pivoted, focused aggressively on Europe. He went around actively convincing European countries to buy Nvidia's GPUs for what he called sovereign AI systems.
Sovereign AI systems. That's clever framing.
It was brilliant, appealing to national interests, developing independent AI capabilities, emphasizing data privacy, fostering economic independence from foreign tech giants. He basically reframed the need for AI infrastructure as a matter of national security and technological sovereignty.
And that strategic pivot then opened doors elsewhere, too, like the U.S. and other regions, a kind of domino effect.
Precisely. Once Europe started committing to building out their own sovereign AI using NVIDIA's chips, other markets quickly followed suit. They recognized the imperative to invest in this foundational tech for their own national and economic security.
It just shows how effective leadership, combined with a product nobody else has, can turn a huge challenge into an unexpected, even explosive growth opportunity.
Absolutely. And the demand, as Tenenbaum highlights, is genuinely unprecedented when he says NVIDIA's entire chip production is reportedly booked solid until the end of 2028.
2028. What does that actually mean for their outlook?
Well, that kind of forward visibility is exceptionally rare in any industry, let alone fast-paced tech. It speaks volumes about the just insatiable global demand for their products.
Guaranteed revenue streams for years.
Exactly. Locked in for more than 3 years, virtually immune to short-term market swings. And furthermore, Tenenbaum mentions their ambitious chip roadmap. There's a clear progression. Blackwell, then an improved Blackwell, followed by Rubin, and finally Firmament.
Blackwell, Rubin, Firmament.
Yeah, each generation offers significant leaps in AI performance energy efficiency. What's particularly interesting, as Tenenbaum observes, is that the last two, Rubin and Firmament, are named after great physicists.
Like a nod to the science behind it.
A subtle but, I think, profound nod to the foundational science behind these technological marvels. It hints at the deep theoretical underpinnings of their innovations.
And all of this has culminated in NVIDIA's current status. Number one company globally in market cap.
Yeah.
Jensen Huang, the CEO, his personal fortune has skyrocketed, $177 billion.
Something like that, yeah. Placing him among the world's absolute richest individuals, maybe fourth or fifth.
What does it say about the current economic landscape that a chip company, not a software or consumer tech giant, is leading the pack?
It's an extraordinary trajectory, isn't it? Especially for a company that started relatively recently, in 1993. Its journey to dominance really underscores the profound impact of its core tech and strategic vision.
So the plumbing is king right now.
It tells us that in this new era, the foundational infrastructure, the actual computational power enabling AI, is currently the most valuable commodity. It's not just about a stock price. It's about a company that's become truly indispensable to the defining technology of our time, sitting right at the base of the whole AI value chain. #tag2, the geopolitical crucible of artificial intelligence.
That incredible demand and market position for NVIDIA, almost a monopoly, really sets the stage for looking deeper at AI's broader impact. And Mookie Tenenbaum, in his discussion, makes a really profound point about that impact, especially its geopolitical power. What exactly does he mean by that?
He asserts that, and I quote, "The most important thing about artificial intelligence is its geopolitical power." So what he means is AI isn't just an economic tool or a tech gadget, it's a strategic asset.
Okay.
It profoundly influences national security, military capabilities, intelligence gathering, global influence, control over advanced AI, or crucially, the chips that power it, translates directly into power on the world stage.
And we've seen some stark, real-world examples of this recently, haven't we? Particularly during the Israel-Iran conflict. Tenenbaum highlighted how financial markets reacted almost instantly.
Yeah, reflecting the perceived value of military tech, much of which is now driven by AI.
Tell us about that Tel Aviv market reaction.
Absolutely. The Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, for instance, saw significant volatility directly linked to the conflict. Tenenbaum detailed a sharp 7% surge right after Israel's initial attack on Iran.
Wow, 7%.
And then following the American response, it climbed even higher, another 12% increase, pushing the market into record territory. Now, this isn't just general market optimism. It reflects a direct investment response to escalating geopolitical tensions.
And the associated increase in defense spending and reliance on technology.
Exactly.
And within that, specific companies really stood out. Elbit Systems, for instance. They're involved in Israeli drones, military intelligence. Their stock rose an astounding 117% in just 1 week. How does that happen?
Well, Elbit is a major player in defense electronics. They provide advanced systems, unmanned aircraft, electro-optic systems, intelligence solutions, many of which increasingly integrate AI.
For things like autonomous targeting.
Yeah, autonomous targeting, data analysis, battlefield awareness. The incredible 117% jump in a week is a direct reflection of, one, heightened demand for its products during conflict, and two, investor confidence in its position as a key provider of cutting-edge military AI.
So it signals that in modern warfare, tech superiority, often AI-powered, is just paramount.
And investors are quick to price that in.
Speaking of military AI, Palantir comes up, a company with deep ties to government contracts, originally CIA work, right?
Oh, that's right.
Tenenbaum points out Palantir holds a really unique position as, quote, the only public company specifically dedicated to artificial intelligence for military spending.
And their story is a perfect illustration of the market dynamics around this, especially the phenomenon known as a short squeeze.
Ah, the short squeeze. Tenenbaum and Sujaviki explained this.
They did, quite clearly. So, when a stock price unexpectedly rockets up, those who've bet against it, the short sellers, who borrow shares to sell, hoping to buy back cheaper,
They get caught out.
They're forced to buy back shares to cover their positions. This happens because they get margin calls from their brokers, demanding more cash as their potential losses mount.
And if they can't pay?
If they can't meet those calls, they're forced to capitulate, basically buy back the shares at whatever the current high price is, which then creates this violent upward surge in the stock price.
Pushing it even higher.
Exactly, further squeezing out other short sellers as they all rush to cover. It creates this self-reinforcing upward spiral.
And Tenenbaum noted the madness of even trying to short Palantir right when the Iran conflict kicked off. Betting against a military AI company during rising tensions seems, well, brave.
Incredibly risky, yeah. Those who did, as Tenenbaum put it, got absolutely drowned or squeezed. They were forced out as the stock surged.
What's also striking about Palantir is its CEO, Alex Karp, his incredibly blunt, unfiltered stance.
Oh, yeah. He made a statement that was as clear as it was provocative. We make software and material to kill people.
Wow. That's not typical corporate speak.
Not your carefully worded PR statement, no. It's an unflinching declaration of purpose.
You'd think such stark honesty might put off some investors, maybe cause the stock to dip due to ethical concerns. But the reaction was the opposite.
Precisely the opposite. Tenenbaum noted this bluntness didn't deter investors at all. If anything, it seemingly propelled the stock higher.
Why do you think that is? What's the takeaway there?
Well, this brings us to a crucial point about investment philosophy that Tenenbaum raises. He suggests that what he terms childish views of investing, where you only seek out moral and ethical companies, often yield smaller gains.
Compared to investing based on reality.
Compared to investing based on reality, as he puts it, regardless of the ethical complexities. In a world where geopolitical realities drive demand for military AI, ignoring that demand for purely ethical reasons, in his view, means potentially missing out on significant returns.
It's a very pragmatic maybe even sobering perspective on how markets operate.
Very much so. That financial outcomes are often dictated by what is rather than what we might wish was the case. It's about recognizing the world as it is, not as we might wish it to be when making financial decisions. A very candid take.
Okay, let's pivot a bit from geopolitics to the everyday, or maybe the very near future of the everyday. Tenenbaum is predicting an explosion in robotics.
Yeah, he thinks we'll see significant advancements within the next 2 quarters and likely throughout the coming year.
What's driving this anticipated robotics boom right now?
Well, it's not just speculation. It's driven by several things coming together. Sensors and actuators getting cheaper, more sophisticated motor control systems, and critically breakthroughs in AI algorithms.
Allowing robots to perceive and reason better.
Exactly. Perceive, reason, interact with their environment in increasingly complex ways. And this robotics explosion is completely linked to AI. The fundamental insight, as Tenenbaum emphasizes, is that for a robot to function optimally, the AI, specifically a GPU, has to be integrated inside the robot itself.
Not communicating externally.
Right. If the robot has to talk to a cloud server, even a nearby one, for its intelligence, the latency, the delay, becomes prohibitive. It just couldn't react or perform tasks with the speed and precision needed for the real world.
So onboard AI is the game changer.
It's a total game changer for robotic autonomy.
And Nvidia, naturally, is right in the middle of this, developing new modules specifically designed for different types of robots.
Ensuring their crucial chips can power this next generation of intelligent machines, whether it's industrial arms, autonomous vehicles, maybe even domestic helpers.
But what's really interesting is Google's recent breakthrough here.
Yes, Google just released the first large language model, LLM, it's called Gemini, specifically designed to actually reside inside a robot.
Inside the robot, so no external calls needed.
Exactly. It eliminates the need for constant calls to a cloud server, allowing for much quicker, more integrated decision-making. Imagine a robot that can understand complex voice commands, adapt to unexpected changes around it, even have more natural conversations.
All without that lag.
All without delay. It also means more sophisticated information can be stored and processed within a smaller physical space, which is critical for making robots compact and agile. It gives them unprecedented levels of localized intelligence and adaptability.
This development puts China in a really tough spot for robotics, doesn't it? Tenenbaum's observation is quite stark.
It is. Without access to these advanced chips, which are essential for true robotic intelligence and these onboard LLMs, China's robotics industry risks being limited to producing mere metal mannequins.
Metal mannequins.
Essentially advanced hardware shells, but without the necessary brains to perform complex adaptive tasks. They'll have the physical bodies, but not the intelligent decision-making power inside.
It's a critical strategic disadvantage then. It really highlights how foundational these advanced chips are across the whole AI landscape.
Without that sophisticated computing power running locally, their robots will struggle to move beyond just rote program tasks to achieve truly intelligent, adaptable autonomy, and that's where the real value and the competitive edge lie.
Let's talk about leadership for a moment. Jensen Huang, Nvidia CEO, Tenenbaum, describes him in a very particular way.
He does. He calls him a master salesman, a quantenic, which is this charming old term for a traveling salesman, literally carrying his briefcase around the world to sell.
And Huang's style, his presentations, especially those big Nvidia conferences, it is like a natural, compelling salesperson.
Absolutely. He isn't just leading from behind a desk. He's actively out there evangelizing AI, pitching Nvidia's vision, selling globally.
And Tenenbaum highlights that when a CEO is such a strong, active salesperson, it often signals that other crucial parts of the business, the engineering, the financials, the operations, are so well handled.
That the CEO can focus on that external narrative driving role.
Yeah.
And Claudio Suchovicki reinforces this, emphasizing the huge importance of storytelling and narrative in today's economy.
It's not just what you build.
Right. It's how you position it, the compelling vision you create, the story you tell about its transformative power. That kind of narrative leadership inspires confidence, attracts talent, persuades markets.
And the proof is really in the pudding, isn't it? Nvidia's 100% stock increase in what Tenenbaum called a horrible context, facing U.S. restrictions, global uncertainty, widespread skepticism.
It absolutely validates that approach. It shows the power of a superior product combined with a compelling story and relentless salesmanship right from the top.
But the impact of AI goes way beyond just robots. Morgan Stanley, as discussed by Tenenbaum and Suchovicki, offers this fascinating historical perspective.
Yeah, they connect AI to past tech revolutions. They suggest the biggest winners often aren't the direct creators of the core tech,
But the ones who leverage it.
exactly, those who leverage the technology for broader economic shifts.
Can you give us those historical parallels again? The automobile example.
Certainly. So consider the automobile. The biggest winner wasn't necessarily Ford or GM, the car manufacturers. Instead, you can argue it was companies like Walmart.
Walmart. How so?
Because the car enabled suburban living, massive road networks, the rise of hypermarkets, big box stores. The car fundamentally changed how people lived and shopped. It created entirely new business models that capitalized on the tech rather than just making it. Walmart leveraged that new mobility platform.
And similarly with Wi-Fi, it wasn't just Cisco or IBM who built the gear.
Exactly. It was companies like Netflix. They leveraged Wi-Fi as a platform to deliver movies and shows directly into homes, completely changing the entertainment industry, creating the streaming revolution.
They used the platform to create a whole new business model.
Providing on-demand entertainment only possible with that ubiquitous wireless connection.
Okay, but Tenenbaum introduces a really critical counterpoint, specifically for AI now. Unlike those previous revolutions, AI currently hinges on this near monopoly in its foundation, the advanced chips.
This is a fundamental difference, he argues. In this scenario, the primary beneficiary is the monopoly holder Nvidia, and by extension, TSMC. The value isn't just in leveraging the tech, it's in controlling that indispensable foundational layer.
So while AI will transform countless industries,
Yes, but the unique nature of its hardware dependency means the value captured right at the bottom of the stack is profound and highly concentrated. It's different this time in that respect.
that's a key distinction. But even with that core monopoly, AI's impact is going to ripple outwards, transforming so many other industries. Autonomous driving, for example. It's not sci-fi anymore.
Not at all. We already have autonomous taxis operating in places like California, and it looks like New York might be next. And this isn't just about personal cars, it's reimagining transport logistics, maybe leading to fully automated delivery networks.
And the reach just continues. AI can significantly lower costs in sectors like mass production, mining.
And not just incrementally, we're talking fundamental changes. Predictive maintenance for machines, optimizing logistics for raw materials, automating quality control on production lines, even using autonomous vehicles for mining operations.
Dramatically cutting labor costs and increasing safety.
Exactly. This efficiency will have a profound effect on global supply chains and the price of goods.
And entertainment. AI is already creating movies.
Generating scripts, virtual cinematography, even hyper-realistic deepfake actors. It's poised to absolutely revolutionize advertising, too, maybe making it self-generating, hyper-targeted to an extent we can barely imagine. AI creating entire campaigns based on individual user data.
Then there are digital services, accountants, architects. Tenenbaum points out their services are fundamentally virtual.
Delivered digitally, not physically, which makes them highly susceptible to automation. AI can do many of these tasks: tax prep, auditing, structural analysis, drafting designs, often faster and more accurately. It's going to reshape those professions.
And construction. The future could be entirely robotic.
Tenenbaum suggests AI will design buildings that are modular, easily reconfigurable, making renovations incredibly simple. Imagine swapping out a bathroom module directly, or entire sections redesigned by AI for optimal use, using generative design.
Optimizing for materials and assembly.
Exactly. And all this cost-cutting capability that AI brings to competitive industries outside the chip monopoly itself, Tenenbaum suggests it will lead to a unique phenomenon: deflation.
Deflation without recession.
Right. AI driving down prices because of increased efficiency and productivity, not because of a lack of demand. Unlike traditional deflation, which often signals an economic slowdown, AI-driven deflation means we get more for less. It could fundamentally boost overall productivity and living standards, a very specific, potentially positive economic impact.
So let's delve deeper into this unyielding core, this monopolistic foundation we keep mentioning. Tenenbaum uses that powerful metaphor. Nvidia and TSMC are the owners of the ball.
Yeah, in the global game of AI development, they hold the indispensable item. It makes their position truly monopolistic in this whole ecosystem.
And TSMC's role is just critical here. You mentioned that interesting side note about Jensen Huang being related to TSMC's founder.
Yes, Jensen Huang is apparently a second cousin to Morris Chang, TSMC's founder, which, probably doesn't hurt the strong relationship between the two companies.
Probably not.
But beyond that personal connection, TSMC, Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing company, just possesses the unrivaled tech prowess and production capacity for these advanced chips. Their cutting-edge fabs, the factories...
Incredibly complex and expensive to build.
Exactly. Yeah. Nearly impossible for competitors to replicate quickly. As a result, TSMC's production capacity for these advanced chips is fully booked year after year, often several years out. There just aren't alternative manufacturing facilities capable of making these chips at the needed scale and quality.
That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
The lack of real competition. Other companies like AMD are trying, but Tenenbaum notes their chips are often seen as inferior for complex AI tasks.
Right, in terms of performance and efficiency. And Samsung's attempts in this area have been described, pretty bluntly, as a disaster, facing major yield and performance problems. Right now, there are no viable competitors who can truly challenge Nvidia's designs or TSMC's manufacturing dominance.
So their main risk isn't competition. It's keeping up with demand.
Pretty much. Not being able to meet the overwhelming global demand or fulfill contracts on time. The demand is so astronomical, their biggest challenge is just ramping up production fast enough, managing supply chains, delivering on this immense backlog. The risk is leaving money on the table or frustrating customers desperate for these chips.
And because of this monopoly, both TSMC and Nvidia just keep raising their prices.
Continuously. And the buyers, they have no recourse. As Tenenbaum points out, nobody can say boo, because without these chips, there's no AI for them. They have no choice but to pay whatever price is asked.
Which just cements the incredible profitability of these two companies.
It does. But what's truly remarkable about AI itself is its self-propelling advancement. Unlike previous technologies that often created new problems needing solutions, like cars causing pollution, or the internet creating cybersecurity issues,
AI can solve its own problems.
It seems unique in its capacity to resolve issues it creates. For instance, it can optimize energy and water use in data centers, potentially mitigating its own environmental footprint. It can design more efficient algorithms for its own operations, even help debug its own code. It pushes its own capabilities forward at an unprecedented rate.
Like a technology with its own built-in problem-solving kit. And this leads to that exponential acceleration we talked about.
Exactly. As Tenenbaum and Suchavicki discuss, we're not seeing linear growth, steady, predictable progress. We're seeing a progression that effectively doubles in very short periods, like that 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 sequence, exponential.
What's driving that incredible speed?
Well, Tenenbaum suggests it's the sheer number of people globally, all innovating and applying AI in their specific fields. You have hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of bright minds worldwide, all working on different bits of AI simultaneously.
Sharing research, open source projects.
Democratizing access to powerful tools. This global, decentralized collective intelligence just supercharges its development beyond anything we saw in previous tech revolutions.
And this velocity makes progress incredibly hard to predict. Tenenbaum says predicting outcomes even 6 months out is almost impossible.
Yeah, the pace is so extreme, changes can happen and reshape the landscape in weeks, not years. It's this constant, dizzying acceleration that keeps everyone guessing.
Which brings us to that really provocative question Tenenbaum raises. When will AI be able to design the very chips it runs on?
It's the ultimate frontier, isn't it? A true self-improving loop, where the technology becomes its own architect.
A mind-boggling thought. What are the immediate roadblocks? Why isn't it happening now?
Well, the major hurdle is data access. The necessary design data for these super advanced chips is not public. It's highly proprietary, guarded jealously by companies like Nvidia and TSMC.
So the AI can't learn without the secret sauce.
Exactly. Without that vast, specialized secret data, an AI can't learn how to design these incredibly complex things from scratch. And then there's the human element, talent retention.
The engineers.
Big concerns about highly skilled, highly paid engineers potentially leaving if AI takes over their design roles. You'd lose invaluable institutional knowledge and human expertise.
So is it feasible at all? Tenenbaum thinks it will happen.
He believes it will eventually, but not immediately and under specific conditions, probably from within one of these major tech players that already has the data and the talent.
And he points to Google.
He identifies Google as the most likely company to first use AI to design its own tensor chips. They have both the huge internal AI capabilities and the deep internal need for custom hardware for their own stuff.
We have the motive and the means.
Exactly, the design brain and the manufacturing need under one roof, so to speak.
But AI's advanced capabilities go far beyond just chip design. Look at its research abilities.
Oh, absolutely. AI models like Gemini and OpenAI can already conduct massive, deep investigations on incredibly complex topics. Tenenbaum mentioned the history of slavery as an example and deliver comprehensive reports in minutes.
Research that used to take human teams months or years.
Painstaking work, sifting archives, finding patterns, synthesizing info. AI does it incredibly fast.
And then there's tools like AlphaFold, the Google DeepMind AI for protein folding.
Yeah, the implication there is profound. The idea that AI tools like that could eventually reduce, maybe even eliminate, the need for human scientists by automating hypothesis generation, experimental design, data analysis.
AlphaFold solved problems that stumped humans for decades,
demonstrating AI's capacity for cracking complex scientific nuts.
But here's where it gets really wild. Tenenbaum states that AI is already writing and rewriting its own code.
Yeah, he emphasizes this. Just 2 years ago, that was basically unthinkable. The ability for AI to self-improve its own fundamental programming, optimize its algorithms, debug itself, generate new functions.
It's a game changer of epic proportions.
Accelerating its own evolution at an exponential rate we've just never seen before in technology. It's the ultimate form of autonomous development, really.
Let's talk about the societal implications of it, especially the job market.
Yeah.
It's not just about factory workers anymore, is it? Tenenbaum consistently points to the vulnerability of those virtual service roles.
Yeah, professions like accountants, architects.
Yeah.
Because their output is digital plans, reports, not physical things. It's easily replicable and optimizable by AI. That could lead to significant shifts in those white-collar jobs.
And it extends to physical labor, too, but differently. The potential for construction, other physical work, to be entirely robotized.
It's significant. And not just the building part, but as Tenenbaum noted, AI designing modular, easily reconfigurable buildings, fundamentally changing how we conceive and create structures.
Imagine construction sites run almost entirely by intelligent machines, assembling pre-designed, interchangeable blocks.
It's a radical shift. Which brings us to a crucial point about navigating all this. Combating the misinformation, the exaggeration.
All right, Tenenbaum is praised for his calm, reasoned approach, debunking the hype and the fables about AI.
He's very clear about distinguishing what's genuinely possible from what's just, pure hype and sensationalism.
He tackles AGI, artificial general intelligence, head on, doesn't he? The idea of AI becoming conscious.
He does. He firmly states it will not happen and cannot occur. He dismisses those sensationalist predictions about AGI as baseless. He emphasizes that current AI, no matter how smart it seems, is fundamentally about pattern recognition, complex computation.
Not human-like understanding or consciousness.
Exactly.
And he's not afraid to call out figures he sees as, well, clowns, who stray into fortune-telling instead of sticking to their expertise, like history. He mentioned Yuval Noah Harari specifically.
Yeah, criticizing claims like machines learning to lie. Tenenbaum believes these sorts of claims are designed to create unnecessary fear and panic, basically by anthropomorphizing AI, making it seem more human and more threatening than it actually is.
And Tenenbaum points out how this sensationalism, whether about war or exaggerated AGI fears, actually benefits media outlets.
Yeah, he highlights that it increases viewership, engagement, which unfortunately incentivizes promoting fear and drama over balanced factual reporting. It's a feedback loop where extreme claims get eyeballs regardless of accuracy.
So how does this all translate back into investment philosophy? Tenenbaum points to resilience as a key indicator, using Nvidia as the prime example.
Indeed. Nvidia's ability to rebound, to grow 100% in that terrible, horrible context, facing bans, skepticism, tensions, is powerful proof of its inherent strength and elasticity.
It shows a company with incredibly robust fundamentals.
An indispensable product, a unique market position that lets it not just survive, but thrive even in tough times.
And this resilience offers a model for finding other investments.
Tenenbaum suggests that while you might not find identical companies, you can look for others with a similar capacity to weather storms and bounce back strongly. It shows that underlying strength. It's about seeking companies with true, indispensable value and strategic positioning.
Allowing them to rebound like a coiled spring.
Precisely. And this circles back to that pragmatic investing approach we discussed. Understanding market realities, even the uncomfortable ones, can often lead to better returns.
Investing based on a clear-eyed view of how the world really works.
Rather than solely on ethical ideals, which, as Tenenbaum points out, might yield smaller gains when faced with powerful underlying market forces, it's really a call for a clear-eyed, maybe unsentimental approach to the market.
Wow. What a deep dive indeed. We've covered so much ground here. From Nvidia's foundational, almost monopolistic role with TSMC, its unique market position,
to the profound geopolitical implications of AI and the exponential changes it's bringing across literally every sector.
Muki Tenenbaum and Claudio Sucevicchi have given us some truly invaluable financial and strategic perspectives on this incredibly fast-moving landscape.
And it really leaves us with an incredible forward-looking question, doesn't it? Given that AI is already writing its own code and seems clearly on a path to designing the very chips it runs on, what does this self-improving exponential cycle actually imply for the future of innovation?
Right. If the owners of the ball, Nvidia and TSMC, can eventually be designed by AI itself, what new monopolies or entirely unforeseen industries might emerge from this continuous technologically self-generated evolution?
It's a concept that really pushes the boundaries of our imagination. It suggests a future where innovation isn't just human-driven, but algorithmically accelerated.
A cycle of innovation feeding on itself, accelerating at a pace we can barely comprehend.
It asks us to think not just about how AI will change the world, but how AI will change itself. And in turn, how that self-transformation will reshape everything we know. The implications for society, for the economy, for the very nature of discovery, they're immense and still largely unwritten.
We really encourage you to keep exploring these ideas, to keep observing the rapid changes AI brings. It's certainly a fascinating time to be paying attention. Thanks for joining us on the